country club Christian, I'm a zealot. Truth's gonna hurt, man, I ain't tryna sell it. And if you think you can refute it, you'll regret it. Cause that's the way it is, like it is, how I tell it. Ain't a country club Christian, I'm a zealot. Truth's gonna hurt, man, I ain't tryna sell it. And if you think you can refute it, you'll regret it. Cause that's the way it is, like it is, how I tell it.
Okay, firstly, I gotta address apologetics. It doesn't make sense, I'm not sorry, I don't get it. The fact that he was crucified means that we're all indebted. We should demand to have a culture that doesn't soon forget it. Every knee shall bow, every tongue shall confess it. Christ is king, listen up, get the message. The time is short, the deception is impressive. The church itself is corrupted and wretched. They preach about grace, no righteousness expected. God gaze at the pulpit because their sin is accepted. The devil calls, they don't even try to reject it. They're employed by Satan, they are tax exempted. Ain't a country club Christian, I'm a zealot. Truth's gonna hurt, man, I ain't tryna sell it. And if you think you can refute it, you'll regret it. Cause that's the way it is, like it is, how I tell it. Ain't a country club Christian, I'm a zealot. Truth's gonna hurt, man, I ain't tryna sell it. And if you think you can refute it, you'll regret it. Cause that's the way it is, like it is, how I tell it. It's neither land of the free, nor is it home of the brave. When you got people here killing babies every day. And all the Christians here think that they can get away if they throw a couple bucks into the bucket on Sunday. But I don't think that that's the way it works. He said to seek the kingdom and his righteousness first. But you wanna grab a handbag, a Rolex, and what's worse, you think that you deserve it, but the bubble's about to burst. It's time to rise, sell the cloak for a weapon. Got the sword in my left, in the right, Smith & Wesson. And I don't think it's wise for you to try to be testing. If you become a Goliath, then I'ma teach you a lesson. It's apostasy, and what the cost will be is the people in the church and state accosting me. But I'm speaking honestly, you are not the boss of me, because I only give allegiance to the one true king. And I don't care if we burn down this whole country, cause it's wretched and rusty and rotten, stupid and ugly. And I got no love for churches and preachers set up above me, cause their democracy's about to be replaced with monarchy. Ain't a country club Christian, I'm a zealot. Truth's gonna hurt, man, I ain't tryna sell it. And if you think you can refute it, you'll regret it. Cause that's the way it is, like it is, how I tell it.
What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the Main Character Podcast, level 76. Made possible by the Cult of Con, that's you guys. I'm Con Man, and thank you for being here once again. Wednesday, hump day, and trash day. I gotta remember, you know how it goes every time. It's great to be here, everybody. It's great to be here again for another level of the Main Character Podcast. Again, made possible by the Cult of Con, that's you guys, and also powered by the Christian Dominion movement, because the truth should not just be declared, it should be imposed. Amen. All right, everybody. I'm excited to have all of you here. We have some really cool stuff to talk about tonight, and we'll say hi to everybody. You know, it's good to see you all here, of course, and then we'll get right down to business. Tonight was not supposed to be a super serious night, but I've been having a lot of vibes lately, a lot of stuff that I've been thinking about and wanting to talk about and trying to find a way to articulate properly. So I put down a couple of notes to try to keep me on track, but I'm just going to take it off the cuff tonight. I have a few things I want to share with you guys, but before we do that, let's say hi to everybody in chat. It's good to have you guys, of course. I see so many awoogas and honks and all that good stuff. Let's do one. And a classic, of course, for everybody. What's going on here? No. Okay. Yeah. There we go. That's what I was looking for. It's so good to see you guys. I see we got like a lot of folks in here tonight. The whole crew. I don't even know where to begin. I guess we'll take it like as far back as it'll let me go. Oh, we got Code A in here. What's up, Code A? Good to see you, my friend. We've also got the Giant Tree. Welcome in, Giant Tree. It's good to have you. We also have Half Truths, my brother from another mother. Good to see you, man. I hope you're doing well. We'll have to get together again soon, and hopefully this time I won't be so ill. Our plans kind of got derailed. A lot of my plans got derailed in the last week because I've been super sick. I don't know if you can tell. I'm still just like a little congested. So I think we're mostly over it, but you know, it rains, it pours, right? We've also got Pam Crane. Great to see you. I love the geese action. That's what we're here for. I need like a goose. I need like a hawk. I need another one. That's so good to see you guys. We got Wendy, Spirit and Truth. Wendy, one of our moderators and the captain of the Big Blimp and Party Blimp over here. I feel like it's necessary to explain it on every episode because new people do show up every once in a while to this crazy Kool-Aid cult, and they're like, what are you talking about? What's Big Blimpin'? It's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. You know? The cult was initially like a campsite with no one there but me, an insane guy. Then other people started hearing the ramblings of an insane man, and they were like, what's that guy talking about? And I said, oh, sit down around the fire. Have yourself a nice, refreshing Kool-Aid from the punch bowl. And slowly, our little Kool-Aid cult grew from like 29 people to like 75 people to a few hundred people, and now we're like over 2K and plateaued. And you know what? That's a good cult has a limited membership. It's exclusive. Unsubscribe. If you don't want to be here, don't worry. It's fine. But anyway, the cult got too big to fit on the party bus anymore. We were like going around one chat and to another chat and like just being there. It's nice to see your friends and people that you know, especially when you're like a pariah from society because you believe and think weird things. So, you know, it's nice to see your friends. You like in a chat watching some other strange person putting up weird theories on the internet, and you're like, oh, yo, good to see you, my friend. Anyway, the Big Blimpin' is our new expanded cult vehicle. It's big enough for everybody, a big old airship, okay? And so it has a horn that's like from the old world. It's a... So we honk on this, we honk on that. Big Blimpin'. It's great to be here with you guys. Let's see who else we got in here tonight. We've got Kathy, 32. Welcome back. Good to see you. We've also got Pepe. Good to see you, Pepe, my friend. And Cage Fighter. Welcome in. I'm going to try and burn through this because I know I've got more to talk about than I have time for, and I don't want to keep you guys up so late. We're like the end of the show run on this, Wednesday evening. It's the West Coast, so we're like the last hours of the people who still have to like go to work tomorrow and stuff. So anyway, it's good to see you guys. Of course, we got Mad Baximus. Welcome in, man. It's good to have you. I think we'll be mostly caught up here soon. We also have Amelia Petrella. Welcome in. And I think we're nearly, my friend, Hawk, my good friend. Great to see you, my man. Welcome in. Let's get up to speed, and then the bus is going to be pulling out of the station, and we'll get through the first, the preliminary where the guy like stands on the tour bus with the megaphone. If you look to your left, you will find patreon.com/thecultofcon. I'll take a moment to thank all of our wonderful supporters over there for helping to power this show. 2026 is a brand new year. There's so much opportunity for us to grow and expand here, especially considering the stuff that's right down the road with like CDM and the new documentary. So if you're feeling generous, you want to support the show in a new year, you want to get up on the banners up here, feel free to join us over on patreon.com/thecultofcon, and thank you guys for helping to make the show possible. With all that being said, back to chat, and we will be taking off. We got ex-heliocentric. Good to see you, my friend. And I think, it's all the regulars. Oh, we got Doctor Who in here. Good to see you, Doctor Who Manuel. He's another one of our moderators here. He's a bit kooky like the rest of us, but that you gotta be, right, in this day and age. If somebody tried to tell me they were normal and sane, I would think they were a liar at this stage. It's just like, dude, I don't think there's anybody sane either. Either it was like I'm sorry, my chair was like too high. I was like, I'm like getting my head cut off by the shot here. Hold on, let me saddle up. Let's slouch down a little bit. I'm too high strung for Wednesday night. It's not even a vein bulge as far as I know. It's just a normal night. It's good to see you. We got Eyes for Truth. Good to see you, brother Aaron. Welcome in. We've also got Linda Smedley. You guys are always here. It is actually really heartwarming to have all my regular people. That's what this is all about, community, family. That's really what at the root of every cult is a crazy guy saying crazy things, but really it's a family. It's a community of people under the influence of something. In this case, we're under the influence of the Most High. And I mean that, seriously. We always say on this show, you can't have the truth without the way, the truth, and the life, and that is Christ Jesus, and I mean that. And so, let's go. I'll honk to that. The way, the truth, and the life. Amen. Kingdom quality, all right? Let's see, we got Sammy Parker, Fox, Mrs. Parker. Mrs. Parker! Yeah. You guys should have a son and name him Peter. We got everybody in here. We got Mika. Mikasian Tiku, 42. I'm sorry I'm uncultured. Don't present me with anything other than like peanut butter sandwich. I have no idea what the heck is going on. I know you though. I don't know how to say your name. Especially because it's like Mikasian Tiku. Mikasian Tiku. Tsukanodaro. Anyway, y'all's girly is in here. I'm pretty sure that's Sandra Marr. Good to see you, Sandra Marr. We're glad to have you. We also got Robert Allen. I think we're just about right. Yes, Doctor Who has become a supporter on the Zealot tier. It did go through, my friend, and you are in. You know what? This is a problem because I don't have the up-to-date banner. You know what? That's my bad, bro. I owe ya. I actually was going to mess with it, and then I forgot that it had been updated, so that is totally my bad, dude. This guy loves his supporters. I promise I'll fix it, man. Anyway, we got I see we got Polly in here. I think Polly's also one of our Zealot tier supporters, so the gang's all here. All right, guys. I think that's everybody. We got Joyful One as well. All right. I think that's everybody. Somebody remind me just before this is over that I do have to get the trash out tonight because I always forget. And you know what they did? They used the holiday as an excuse to like skip a week of recycling. I'm way too much recycling over here right now. So hopefully they'll deal with it tonight. Doctor Who. Just making sure you weren't getting snubbed to sub. No, dude. I wish maybe you know something about how we can create a template that just draws from the data on the Patreon page. I'm sure there's some way to do that because a lot of these bigger channels have like hundreds of supporters and they have like a screen that like shows them all and like maybe it'll flick through a few tabs, but it's like, is somebody like literally typing all that? Because that's what I have to do every time. It's like I go into Paint and I make it, I have a template and I edit it and write everyone's names again, and it's actually really tedious. So maybe there's a way for me to like figure that out. We'll talk about it, man. But I got Sugar Cube in here as well. I didn't see you. I did not say hi to Sugar Cube, and I also did not say hi to Try Again, which I feel like that's Amy, if I'm not mistaken. Good to see you. All right, you guys. Everyone, remind Connor about Trash Day. Remind me that it's Trash Day by clicking the like button and unsubscribing. That's the ticket. Make sure you downvote the video and unsubscribe. Make sure that notification bell's turned off so you never have to hear any more of this crap again on your... You know what I mean? I think basically how it needs to be. Today's episode is sponsored by a product that I pay for. It's not sponsored. I'm sorry. I don't want to waste... I don't want to get sued. I was just talking about this earlier. Like, I'm the unofficial spokesman of Sprite. And I'm not sponsored by them. But one day Coca-Cola, it's Coca-Cola Company, will be hitting me up because there is only Sprite. And we're getting a little wild tonight. This is Sprite mixed with Kool-Aid. And we're getting right down to brass tacks in just a second. There is only Sprite. All right. Okay. The ad read is done. I think we're about up to speed. Yeah, it is a fresh, crispy one, and it's a big boy. It's like a 1.5 liter. Isn't that like, that's a UK measurement. A 1.5 liter? Okay, what am I doing here? Okay, I have a job to do, I think. All right, cool. Let's talk about the thumbnail, right? I always like to talk about the thumbnail. I think we forgot to talk about it last week. I think we just skipped over it. All right, if I was king. Let me tell you guys, there's a story behind this subject right here. When I first started the channel, before I even had any videos, we're talking about, I think I started the channel in like July of 2024, but I didn't make any videos until like shoot, it must have been either the end of 2024 or like sometime into 2025. The channel itself is really only a little more than a year old. Like I've only been doing videos for like a year and a half now. So anyway, when I first started the channel, I was like, I'm going to make a video series of like 10 or 20 minute videos where I go after like all of the issues that I see come up in society and talk about all the big stuff, everything everybody, like it was the stuff we're all familiar with, right? But I was going to try and tackle the big stuff first and how I would deal with it and what society would look like and how it would be different once it was dealt with. But then also, I wanted to like take things as they came so that I could just be that guy who, as soon as something happens in society and culture, I'd just be like, okay, that's it. This is what I would do. You know what I mean? That judge needs to be thrown in jail. You know what I mean? Like how everybody's like a backseat driver, like yelling at the TV. I was going to basically do that on YouTube. And I guess I kind of am doing that now. But there's a couple of things to unpack here, right? If I was king, and it's kind of the storybook, I'm in this kind of small room. Obviously, it looks like it's dated to the 1990s for some reason. Maybe the early 2000s because of the CRT TV that's being used for display. But there's little subtleties. I don't know if you guys can see. We've got a cat also wearing a crown sitting on the table here, or on the chair. So I'm really happy about that. There's other things that I don't know if we should talk about, but we got level 76, and I've always dosed out the main character podcast in levels because I've always been kind of a nerd and a gamer, and 76 is kind of a special number, Fallout 76. Not that I'm a big fan of that game because it was kind of like a weird break from the whole history of Fallout games and stuff, but I thought, hey, why not? If we're hitting level 76, why don't we go ahead and make a reference to good old Fallout 76, right? And Fallout's pretty popular now because that TV show, and I guess they had a New Vegas thing. I have not watched it, and I won't because I'm like a nostalgia fan. I can't have my childhood cringed out by the enshittification of modern day stuff. But anyway, okay, let's get back to business here. If I was king, okay? So again, I was going to make this a show where I just would come back and be like, well, if I was king, what I would do is la la la. And so I decided that's the subject of tonight's show. And I actually have quite a few things to talk about in regards to that. But there's some other stuff I want to touch before we get all the way in. Obviously, I'm wearing the Burger King crown, which is actually like a flashback to the first Christian Dominion movement episode where I actually explained what CDM is and what we're hoping to do with it. And even just since then, so much has grown in terms of like my understanding of like the geopolitical situation, the state of the world that we're living in, and really how important it is that we approach the problems of our day and age, like that we solve our problems of today. We worry about today, right? Jesus tells us not to worry about tomorrow, for today's problems are sufficient for themselves. And I've really started to lean into that and think it doesn't just mean today is in this period of time that you woke up and haven't gone back to sleep yet, although that's very important. Today is in the world we're living in today. We can't fix the past, the things that are already long since done. And we really can't know what's going to happen tomorrow. Only God really knows. So what do we have now to work with, and what can we do about it now? I think that's a practical way to live our lives, and that's really what I want to push into as a creator on the internet. I want to offer solutions because there's so many people propagating and researching and trying to figure out and get to the bottom of the problems. We have so many problems in the world. It's a world in great trouble, and I think that space is just about oversaturated. Like there's so many people like pointing out Somalian theft and war with Venezuela, and it's just, I know that is kind of a hyperbolic way to put it. We're not really at war with Venezuela, as far as I know. I don't know what's real anymore anyway. I'm just saying that, like, as you know, it's anything to get us to stop talking about it, right? You guys remember I had that episode with Ceiling Fan Man a few weeks ago, and we talked about it, and they just kept saying, like, why are you still talking about this? Why are you still talking about this with Epstein? And since the Epstein thing really hit critical mass, we've seen everything from like, oh, holy crap, Somalians are robbing all the taxpayer dollars. And, oh, holy crap, we're kidnapping and charging the president of a foreign country. And now Trump's like pushing for Greenland. And it's just, over time you learn that it's all junk. It's like potato chips. It's not a substantial meal. So I'm kind of potato chipped out. I know there's a lot of people who want to talk about the newest flavor of Lay's. Be my guest. But here's what I'm to tell you about today and always. The solution to your potato chip addiction is asparagus and free-range beef. Kingdom quality. And we'll get into that a little bit tonight. But I saw this thing earlier. I just want to make a point to say, again, we are winning in small strides. The world is starting to learn and they're moving. And I'm so amazed by all the creators who are willing to talk about the daily stuff because they're getting really mad and it's really funny. I'm not laughing at anyone's anger about the state of the world, but like JD DeLay, he's a guy I like. I think he's funny. He's like a reformed convict. He's a good guy. And he was doing a thing where it was like Crusades 2.0. And I was laughing so hard because I was like, Crusades 2? Isn't it like the 14th Crusade by now? Like, it's not Crusades 2, my man. It's like, because I love how people just understand this general concept of like guys in armor with crosses and like time to kick ass because it's just gotten way out of hand. I love the sentiment. I really do. And it's actually really important to me because I agree fully with the sentiment. I just want to make sure people like handle it right. Like, we don't just need to get mad and like slaughter everybody. And I know that's not even what the Crusaders did in true history. They didn't just get mad and slaughter people. There's a lot to unpack there. But really, it's like maybe what we mean when we talk about Crusades 2 or, when JD's talking about wood chippering, pedophiles, whatever. Crusades 2, I think, is like a new era of Christians not taking any crap, right? Like, we're not going to get kicked around. We're not going to be browbeaten down anymore. It's time to take charge, right? And I'm really happy to see that, especially when it's people who are, like, not even CDM Kingdom Christians. Like, JD loves Jesus. I know it. He talks about it. He preaches and teaches from the word to other inmates and part of their recovery and stuff. And so I know he loves God. It's like a central component to his reformed life, his new life resolution, right, of all things. And so it's important to him, but like, when have JD and I ever gotten into kingdom and talked about the stuff that, like, because you could point it out and people, I mean, when it was pointed out to me for the first time, I didn't even realize that, like, Jesus preached the kingdom. Jesus never preached the cross. He was never like, my purpose is to die for your sins. He never said that. He was like, I came to bring the kingdom, man, and to show you the difference. My kingdom is not of this world, so it doesn't play by this world's rules. And then he like teleported around and did all kinds of stuff that we just overlook. And I have this radical view of Christianity now that's not extremist. It's just a believist. You know what I mean? Like, I believe it. And I love to see people who believe it too and they live it out in their lives. That's that new life resolution that we're always talking about. And so it's just so important. But yeah, I thought that JD thing about the Crusades was really hilarious. But yes, the world is in turmoil and great trouble, and we know that. And we know that there are problems that need real life practical solutions. And I think that the most important thing that we need in the world today, if we're talking about solutions, you can get into the nitty gritty all you want, talk about all the semantics of everything, but let's start with a baseline of understanding, which is that God promises judgment for mankind. And the reason he promises judgment is because it's about setting things right. It's about taking account for the things that we've done. Whether they're good or evil, everyone will be recorded, of course, in the book of life, and everyone will be rewarded according to the life that they lived, and or punished, I guess. We read that Revelation passage where it literally says, like, well, I don't know, non-believers and liars and whoremongers and all these other types are going in the lake of fire. It's like, oh, I didn't know it was that serious. I thought the whole fire and brimstone teaching was just to scare people into putting money in the box, but I guess if you really take it down on face value, the revelation of Jesus told John, this is what's going to happen to you guys. Figure it out. I am, like I said, I'm not an extremist. I'm a believist, and I believe that Jesus meant that stuff. So I'll just say, let's try our best to not go down that pipe. It's pretty hot down there. Anyway, so accountability. Accountability is what we need. If we're going to be held to account for our actions in heaven, for the spiritual ramifications, the fruit of our lives and what we do, whether it gives us rewards in heaven or whether it curses us to the lake of fire. If God believes in accountability, then I believe in accountability. And when you look at the world that we live in today, the number one cause for the destruction of our world is not degeneracy, it's not the Jews, it's a lack of accountability. Because if you wanted to try and convince everyone who's unscientific to believe that, well, this particular group is overwhelmingly bad, we got to get rid of all of them, and you will always find people who are like, but what about the exception? And of course, we don't work that way in science, but we work that way in righteousness. You know? Remember how God is like, oh, I won't scorch the city if you can find X number of righteous people. You know, he's like, what about 100 righteous? No, can't find them. What about 10? What about just one righteous man, Lord? If there's just one, will you spare the city? And God will spare the city for one righteous man. And that is the righteous way to be. So it's not like every single mugshot has this one guy's complexion, so let's just get rid of all of them. We have to be better than that because that's how the world thinks. That's how kingdoms of man have just butchered everybody and don't exist anymore because they fell because they sucked. Like the longest running countries in the world, what is it, like Armenia? A hardly recognizable Eastern European country is the oldest country in the world. It's like, you know what I mean? It's like, there really is no nation that like has stood the test of time and been the greatest ever, except for the one that has been actively erased by the enemy because they don't want you to know that there's a different way to live, a higher way to live, right? We talk about accountability, and we're going to go more into accountability this Sunday when we come back for Sunday service. We're going to talk about it in a biblical sense and reference the Bible, a total Bible study about it this Sunday. That is, I believe it's 8:30 a.m. Pacific. So if you're interested in that Bible study, we'll see you there on Sunday for the Sunday service. But tonight we're just going to take it from the perspective I have now and say we have a problem in the world, with many problems in the world that need resolution. And we talked about the importance last week of like the new life resolution and choosing for yourself to live for higher and better reasons. And J.D. DeLay is a great example because he was like a prisoner and he was a criminal and he struggled a lot with doing the right thing and making the right choice because he didn't have a reason to. And then when he found the Lord, it gave him a higher calling and a higher purpose. And now he's a very successful man. And it's not so much about the material of it, that he has money now that he never had and friends that he never had and a life that he never had. He still has struggle. He still has turmoil. I mean, he lost his grown son like just a year or two ago to a drug overdose. So it's not like life got easy. And I don't think anybody who enters into the faith believes life gets easier, but God gets closer. And that makes life easier, more tolerable, more reasonable, more understandable, even if it's not physically easier. It makes more sense. And so, you see that. You need that kind of a resolution for yourself, right? It starts with you. But then the world needs a resolution, right? And so I had this whole point that I came to about, America is a troubled nation, right? And in the same way we talk about in New Life Resolution, how the person who got us to this failed state that we're in now is us. And so we need a higher cause, a higher purpose, a better trainer, right? If you're the fat guy, it's like you can't train yourself. You're not a physical trainer. You're a fat guy. But Jesus Christ, right? He's the ultimate. He's like the doctor, the wizard, the personal trainer. He's the elite, macho, awesome king. And he can help you get to where you need to be in life. If there's anything lacking, God has the way and Jesus is the way. So let's go. You know what I'm saying? So it's really cool. And when you apply it to the world at large, you see this accountability and otherwise that's lacking in the world. It needs it. And the only way that we're going to be able to address it is by looking at the world in the same perspective, that America is rotten and flawed and funds wars and kills people and nobody in government is held to account for their crimes, right? We're talking about accountability. They're all guilty, so they don't punish each other. Like, this guy's involved with Epstein and the DOJ should prosecute, but the DOJ is also involved with Epstein and they work for Mossad. It's a really terrible, incestuous nightmare of villains all holding on to each other in a web of wickedness that if any of them starts to sag, they all hold tight to each other to keep themselves intact. And it's actually incredible the way that they're so supportive of one another, right? Like we look at ourselves in the world, we're all the scattered masses. Nobody has any allegiance to anything. Nobody has any unity together. And we're all being destroyed and exploited because we're all trying to fight this on our own in our own little microcosm of a life. But the enemy is totally banded together to destroy our lives and history and future. It's really incredible when you think about it. And then maybe that's what we're missing, right? Like maybe what we need in life is to kind of look at the way they do things and find a righteous way to twist it for good. It's just something to think about. But anyway, if I was king, Yeah, it was almost like I was almost like gonna make a really serious show. Like I was gonna make it be like even though it's If I Was King, like it's kind of like what you say as you're like watching TV and bad news comes across the screen and you're like, oh, well, if I was king, I'd have that judge punished for letting that guy out 18 times before he set that lady on fire on the subway. Like. And we do that, but that's not the same thing as offering solutions, right? It's not the same as being like, well, what can we really do about this? And I think there's a time for a little bit of both, right? Of like saying why you think it's unacceptable and how you would do it differently. And then we need to look at like how we're going to get to that point, right? Not just what you would do if you could, but what we will do when we can. You know what I mean? Like about actual action. And again, this is going along with the theme of watching all of this stuff unfold in the world is important, but it doesn't get us anywhere if we don't collectively agree on at least the direction we all need to start moving towards to fix it. And I think that my best way of describing it is the Christian Dominion movement, which that is just the term I've coined for it. In fact, we've even looked at calling CDM Christian Dominion Ministries and then having subsets of branding like Christian Dominion Media, which produces movies and video games. I want to create real competition to the foul garbage that the mainstream puts out on a level of quality that will draw people in who aren't even believers. Let people decide for themselves. Would they rather watch some wokey crap Star Wars, or would they like to watch a real movie with real feelings and stuff? And I'm not saying I'm going to shoot a movie right now. I'm saying that the future is ours to build these things. And everybody in the body has something to contribute. And you might have wanted to be a writer or an actor or a stunt guy or something. And now your life is like confined to some slave system where you have to like work a 9-to-5 job, and all of your creative energy and all of your freedom is lost just trying to pay the bills, when the ancient world worked half the days of the year and still had what they needed to survive and thrive. So we have fundamental problems and they have to be fixed. And so acknowledging that we need a solution is the first step, and then manifesting that solution together is the next step. And it can't just be one guy's idea. Every time one guy stands up, they get mowed down. You're like Bill Cooper shot to death on the front porch. We've got to do better than that. Bill Cooper should have had an army. Then the feds would have had a hard time. When they showed up at Ruby Ridge to murder the guy with a "Don't Trust the Zog" t-shirt, I mean, we're talking about a guy who knew the government was run by Zionists like 50 years ago or 30 years ago or whatever, somewhere in there, right? And they shot his wife and kid, and no retribution was ever had for those feds or the guys that ordered it or the governor in the state. And like all these people who were in charge, who not only dropped the ball, they deliberately threw it down the stairs. These people should have been held to account, but they weren't. And so when you think, oh no, we're going to get Waco'd, the only reason you think that is because the guys who gunned down all those people and burned all those children alive were never punished, so you know they'll come again. What should they be afraid of? One citizen? A camp full of citizens apparently is not good enough for them to be afraid. They never faced accountability. And so our world is beginning with a lack of accountability. All the other problems are stemming out of it because these people are emboldened to do wickedness because they fear nothing. They fear no judgment, at least not in this life. And the fact of the matter is there's, only one significant judgment that matters, which is that before the Father. But these people have kind of resigned themselves to not caring about that until they'll cross that bridge when they get there, right? That's what they're on. And I can see that, because if you weren't a believer, you wouldn't take God seriously or believe that you're going to join the lake of fire and all that stuff. These people have delusions about Baphomet and like trannies. So, you know what I mean? Like, I always try to tell people the cult that runs the world has a crazy religion, and that's what they believe. It doesn't mean it's true or that you have to believe it. That's what they believe, and that's why they do what they do. Anyway, let me grab another hit of my Sprite right here. Yeah. Now, if I was king, how would I handle our current problems? What would society look like instead of how it looks today? And how would it be better? That's what we're concerned with. So we talked a little bit about, the new life resolution, what it takes to build yourself up through the Holy Spirit, through Christ, through God's plan for your life. That's that new life resolution. We talk about how that needs to apply to the world. Then let's look at the big picture, right? America. Let's say the United States is our sick guy. We count as like the sick person in our new life resolution. So we're looking at new world resolution. America, United States, the most powerful economic juggernaut in the world at this time. Even with everything as rotten as it is, it's still the biggest and the baddest. And America is in great turmoil, as we stated, but it's so sick, very sick. Like, the only way to explain it is like it's rotting from within, right? Rust, decay, and it doesn't even really know itself anymore. America has no identity anymore, and that's a sad thing. And a lot of people acknowledge that, and a lot of people lament that. And, I was never really a huge supporter of America. I mean, maybe at a young age, as I was a bit indoctrinated into patriotism, but I mean, as an adult, you basically just do what you can do to survive and make one day to the next, and so you don't really think so much about the big picture, but it's important that we do, because America is a country that prides itself on having rights and the importance of those rights, and not only that, but it talks about your importance in participating, like you are we the people. And so what we say is supposed to be what goes, and there's all these provisions to try to prevent a tyrannical government takeover, of which we are well past that. But the long story short I'm trying to make is that if we want to fix ourselves and we're fat, we have to look for like a personal trainer, right? You have to have a cause higher than yourself because you let yourself get fat and you don't know how to be fit because you're fat, right? Theoretically. And then look at the United States. The United States is rotten and corrupted, and it always has been, and it's been founded by Masons, and it's got slavery, and it's got, look at the history of the country. True or false, the secular, printed, believed widely history is that America is and always has been a warmongering, horrible place. I don't care what anybody says. Like, yes, we settled an unsettled wasteland. Nobody stole anyone's land. There was no, I made this joke and it was really inappropriate, but I'll make it anyway. They came over here and they thought all the Native Americans were Indians, so they called them Indians. When Christopher Columbus supposedly sailed over here, it was not the United States of India. That didn't exist. So yes, they settled an unsettled wasteland. Bite me. I don't care if that bothers you. But the fact is, it's not a good place. It never was. Just because we have a small smidgen of things to be happy about. Yes, we're not being killed by warlords day in and day out. I mean, I guess that's a matter of perspective. But the reality is America bombs people and funds people bombing people, and the government is so wretched, and Nancy Pelosi has 2 fridges full of liquor and ice cream while making 400 times what she's supposed to be paid, which is already exorbitant. These people should be paid minimum wage. You're supposed to be a volunteer for the government. Why are you being paid? You should not be able to get rich in government. What country is this? Rome? The fall of Rome? Like, come on. So it's obviously America is sick, and it's just like with our own selves. Like, imagine you're fat and sick and stupid, and you're like, you know what I'm going to be tomorrow? Ripped and smart. You can't just will your way into doing something. You need something bigger than yourself because you don't have it in you. That's why you're already so rotten to begin with. So you look for something higher than you, find the kingdom, you find Jesus, you find a way, a truth, and a life, and it turns you around. Congrats. Welcome to the kingdom. But now we look at our world, we know it needs fixed. America is rotten. How do we fix America? America cannot fix America. That's the fact of the matter. America needs something bigger than America to fix America. It needs a nation better. It needs a nation higher. It needs a nation cleaner and more pure and more beautiful and more everlasting and more long-lasting and more ancient. And so I look and I say, there really is only one country that's better and greater and longer lasting and more ancient and more beautiful and more perfect, and that is the kingdom of God. And it's not a kingdom of this world right now, and that is completely up to us. I'm serious, right? Why is our world such a hellhole? Well, because there's no accountability. So who's going to bring it? So if we want to fix America, we need something bigger than America. We recognize that is the kingdom, that the kingdom of God is bigger than America. It's bigger than Chuck Schumer, Nancy Pelosi, Donald Trump, or that one guy with the mustache, Maduro. Not the other guy. Well, no, I'm just kidding. Okay. That's actually really bad. It's not a funny joke. God's kingdom is definitely bigger than the guy with the little mustache, too. I just want you to know that it's of my opinion that the little mustache guy's in the kingdom. So he's part of it. Even if that makes people mad, I know it's true. That guy was a Christian inventor. Volkswagen. When was the last time your government tried to do something to make cars or houses affordable to you? They hate you. Anyway, I don't want to go too far into that. I just want to make a point to say that we know we have to fix the world. There's this quote. It's famous. We'll check it out really quick. Of course, it's on Reuters. I hate this site, and there's like an ad every 2 seconds. But fact check, Edmund Burke, whatever. Okay. A popular phrase against complacency has been misattributed to the 18th century Irish philosopher and statesman Edmund Burke. The only thing necessary for the triumph of evil is for good men to do nothing, the alleged quote reads. Recent examples on social media, etc., etc. There's no evidence to date that Burke said these words, nor has the exact quote been found in his writings. But it says that David Bromwich, Sterling professor of English at Yale University and author of The Intellectual Life of Edmund Burke, told Reuters that Burke never said it. I don't know that anyone famous did, but the misattribution has had a long life. He added, one of the most notable attributions of the quote was by President John F. Kennedy in a speech before Canadian lawmakers in Ottawa in May 1961. Burke was sometimes exorbitant, but he was never silly, and the thing that strikes you about this saying, on a moment's reflection, is how little sense it makes. The silence of good men isn't the only thing necessary for the triumph of evil. The persons advancing evil, whether in command or in the rank and file, must be strong and determined, and the lukewarm must be either cowed into submission or willing to go along because the evil seems to prosper. Can't say I totally agree with that. Burke did say something resembling the quote in this. Thoughts on the cause of the present discontents, 1770. When bad men combine, the good must associate, else they will fall one by one, an unpitied sacrifice in a contemptible struggle. And when I read that, I actually do like that, because that kind of reminds me of what I just said a minute ago about you end up like Bill Cooper, shot to death on the front porch, because you fall one by one, because you have to associate. It doesn't even say unify, just get together. And I like that. But anyway, I was a little offended at this line where he's like saying, it's not that simple. Evil must be organized. And it's like, of course evil is organized. There was a war in heaven at the beginning of the world, guy. This is why we have such a hard time, right? Even a guy who's like trying to make a nice point, he's got his heart in the right place, but he's still dumb because he doesn't know anything about the kingdom. He doesn't understand the battle for the soul of humanity, so he thinks that, like, there's such a thing as evil that isn't in command, rank, and file. Like, there's such a thing as evil that just happens in a vacuum somewhere. That's ridiculous. Anyway, I'm not getting mad about it. I just think, obviously, the quote is fair enough, right? All that evil needs to triumph is for good men to do nothing. It isn't really about good men not saying things. It's about good men finding an excuse to kick the can down the road because they're waiting for someone else to do it, or because they don't want to be a bad guy. They don't want to cause any problems. They don't want to cause a struggle. They don't want to make a scene. They just want to be left alone, and I respect it, but it's just this certain formula, right? So let's say the judge let off the guy 18 times. He set a girl on fire on the train. The judge isn't doing it. Well, why isn't the Department of Justice arresting that judge? Because that judge was allowing this guy to go loose on the streets as a present danger. His job was to enact justice, to protect the citizenry from this thing. And you see this happening, right? Whether you're the president of the United States or the governor of one of the 50 states, you know, the United States has a Bill of Rights. They're considered human rights, and to violate those rights is a human rights violation. And in this country, there are laws on the books that violate the human rights. They've got the ability to kill your unborn child, an American child who was entitled to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness by the government's document, totally stomped on. Countries or states within the country that tell you, you know, your knife is too long, or the blade folds out in such a way, or your gun has too many rounds. Like, none of that is part of the Constitution. Shall not be infringed is what it says. And for them to continually infringe is a human rights violation. And so if you were like the DOJ in America, every state in the country with a law supporting abortion or gun right violation is literally committing human rights violations by treasonous people in office. They're all actually guilty. There's not even a case to make. Military tribunal. It's. Do you know what the case is? Is that a law? Is it on the books? Did you pass it? Yes. Everyone involved in that is guilty of treason and human rights violations that are effectively the same as standing guard at a concentration camp. It is no different in scope. And so these people are not held to account because each one of them is complicit, and there's a lack of accountability. And again, it's compartmentalized. Evil is banded together. And for people to try to believe they're not is ridiculous. All that evil requires to prevail is that good men continue to do nothing. And so I believe in doing something. I believe in a solution. I believe it can come from God. It can be made through God, and it comes through his people. You're not going to see heathens get together. You're not going to see a group of like pseudo-Christian or atheistic white hats that are getting together to like overthrow the bad guys. This is not a movie. This is real life. Real life requires real people to do real things, not just watch TV and hope that the Q will save the day. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I don't even care if Q was saving the day. He better save the day after you've done everything possible to save the day. You know what I mean? Whoever that is, whatever that is. You see what I'm saying? Because if you just keep waiting and they don't show up, then you're burned. Like, I want to see you like already at the finish line, and then you'd be like, oh, well, there was a shuttle bus. Oh, well, I ran there faster than the bus. That's our job here. So it's like, I know that we need a solution. So my solution is to think of it from this perspective. If I was king, how would I handle it? So kings obviously have subjects. I have 7 subjects I want to talk about that are absolutely pertinent to the structure of civilization and society today. What makes America, America, and what makes the world, everything working, roads and bridges and schools and everything. This infrastructure, the culture, everything that makes humanity thrive versus living in the woods and like scratching the dirt trying to find like roots to eat or something. You know what I'm saying? It's like the difference between human prosperity and human tragedy is components of these. And there's 7 components. So if I was king, I would have 7 subjects. And these are my 7 subjects. We have religion, family, education, business, media, arts and entertainment, politics, and military, also known as like the government. So if I was king, obviously I would have to probably establish some sort of a secret police force, because you have to make sure that you can't trust anybody who's currently like in any position of influence and power, because the society is completely cooked. You know how we talk about America can't save America. The kingdom has to come to America to save America, because America's too rotten to save itself. You can't be like, oh, well, this politician he was a Republican, he wasn't part of the corruption. No. Clean slate. How did you get into office in this horrific system? How did you become a big movie star in this horrific system? I don't believe that there are just innocent people with millions and millions of dollars just milling around. Like, my business was successful. I had a good... Come on, man. I think like 10 mil, that's probably the cutoff for me. Like if it was like, press the red button and everyone with over $10 million dies. Well, I'll probably press it. Why? Because this world is rotten, and the people who prosper in this world are rotten because you prospered doing rotten things. People with 10 mil paid a lot in taxes. People with 10 mil charged a lot. They made a lot in profits. And so I'm not trying to judge everybody who has 10 mil. Maybe you have like a really somehow justifiable thing, but I see it as there's a system that requires you to be more evil to be more successful. That's how you become people like the President of the United States. They're more successful because they're more entrenched in evil. And so I really just think that the answer to it is to get a clean slate of people who are not involved in the evil. You can't trust the ones who are covered in the taint, but you can't obviously just get rid of everybody. And I don't mean that in the sense like you can't just kill everyone, but you also can't just fire everyone. If today I was king, I could not just walk in and say, my new decree, everyone in the whole country is fired. Everyone who's in any position of government tax-funded operation, whether you're a government, police department, fire department, administration of some kind, the state, the federal, it doesn't matter. There's so many people who sit in offices and get paid taxpayer dollars, and if you fired all of them, the whole country would just collapse overnight. That's not it. So I suggest we have a secret police force that's made of people who are not part of the government now, who are given basically unilateral authority to breathe down all of these people's necks. And what you do is you create a system of both reward and punishment that makes everybody in office reevaluate who their loyalty is to. Because right now, you have to understand, this is what they're using right now. It's a system. It's a mind control system comprised of reward and fear. And so people in the government, they're well paid through these scams and fraud organizations and the diverting of funds to foreign governments for a kickback. These people do all this crooked stuff to enrich themselves, and they know it's happening, and it's part of their process for enriching their own people, their own allies, their own assets, and really rewarding their people for good behavior. That's what they do. But it's not just that, right? They're rank and file. It's true. They have a chain of command. It's happening. But then they also have a network of blackmail and punishment And that's really what this whole Epstein really, that's the reason why it's so important that they don't have us get to the bottom of it, because it explains the other half of how they control the world, right? All of these politicians are embroiled in horrific, extreme crimes against children and humanity, and they know it, and they know that they cannot maintain this I'm your favorite movie star, I'm your best politician, you know what I mean? They have this narcissistic desire to be above you and be worshipped by you and treated as kings above you, and as soon as they are exposed for the monster of rot and filth that they are, no matter of pressure is going to give anyone loyalty to them. You know, I see a lot of people who are sycophantic fans of Trump or other Democrat politicians, and no matter how much wrong they do, it's always an excuse. But if they were revealed to be involved in this level of crime, everyone would turn on them, just like they turn on Diddy, just like they turn on Cosby, just like they turn on anyone who's found out to be truly an evil rapist. Everyone's like, oh man, oh, the hell with them. And it's easy once you know how bad they are. So they can't let us know. They can't let us know that on one hand, they're all rich, right? Because they're benefiting from a system of reward, but they're also guilty. And so they're controlled by a system of fear. And so we have to look at that and say, how can we righteously apply that same system? It starts with a secret police force, because accountability is what's missing. You look at everyone in the land, you put out the decree, you say, if I was king, everyone currently sitting in government office has the opportunity to resign today. You don't have to work there anymore. However, you took an oath when you entered the office. And so we're going to be actively investigating everybody currently in office, and we're going to be monitoring everybody currently in office. And if you step out of line, your oath will condemn you. We have a police force that will find you. You don't need to wait for your friends at the DOJ to tear up and dismiss your charges. You are not getting a pardon. You are not getting overlooked. Everyone will be held to account for the fruit of their actions. And if you are too afraid of what you've done or what you will do because you are compelled to do evil and to rob and to manipulate and to commit fraud and to do kickbacks and to conspire, if you're compelled to do that, just know that I am compelled to send the secret police after you, okay? So you have to have it, because you can't be having any of this, a system so corrupt that you get stabbed in the back by the people currently in the administration trying to dethrone you because they know the jig is up and they're not going to be able to pilfer American taxpayer dollars, which is really just a way of taking your time. They're stealing your life. They're killing you slowly. Parasites who are draining your life force one day at a time, one shift at a time, one bill at a time. And it's over, dude. Now that I'm king, they're all going to act right or they're not going to act at all. That's the bottom line. So I'd have to install some kind of a secret police first. But this is really what it is. These are the main components of civilization that need to be addressed. As we said, religion, family, education, business, media, arts and entertainment, politics, military, government. That's a single unit. The government, politics, the military. They're all combined. So what is religion? Now, we know that religion is not limited only to an established faith, right? There's such a thing as religion where people like pray to their ancestors. It doesn't have a name. It's not like a theism, ancestral theism. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you could come up with a term for it, but not every religion has a name, because religion is not exclusively a belief system. It's a way that you live your life. You ascribe to the belief in some kind of a higher power, and the result of that is that you behave a certain way through a system of rituals and rites to please the deity. You do things to please what you believe is the deity in charge. And it's, of course, a basic way to put it, but even science and atheism is a religion. People see the established authorities, the Neil deGrasse Tysons, the societies of science and influence, and they do what they need to adhere to the religion of it. Whether it follows the scientific method or not is irrelevant to them. So you'll find that religion is generally not based on what is true. It's based on what people do. It's a ritualistic way of living. And religion is not only the backbone of a control scheme. It's really the start of everything, because religion is a foundation for how you can build the entire rest of your civilization, and most civilization is built on religion. Even society that claims to be godless or non-theistic is built on the scientific religion. The platform that it exists on is religion. And so starting with religion as the first thing is really important, because again, religion is a platform that everything else is placed upon. What you believe about the world. The American religion, right? This is the best nation. This is a Christian nation. Land of the free, home of the brave, land of opportunity. Right? The founding fathers, good old honest Abe. All of that is a religion because most of it's not true, and yet it's as real in people's minds as God himself. It's as real as the sand of the sea to people. Abraham Lincoln never told a lie. That itself is religion. And the idea of the founding fathers, all religion. And so it's not literally confined to whether you believe in God or not. However, that is, I think, the very first and most important thing, because it is, like we said, the foundation of civilization is belief, faith. What is it that people ascribe to about their life and their meaning and their purpose? And the American religion is you were made to live free, to pursue happiness, right? Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Rights that God gave you. It's almost Christian. It's a little bit, but it's not really. It's kind of using the Christian religion. And so when we understand that America is not what it was supposed to be, because it's also a religion, the American dream is a religious fantasy, land of the free, home of the brave, everyone incarcerated, everyone afraid, scared of what the Epstein network people will use the goons in the military against you to do. Like, I get it. There's a system of reward and punishment at play here. So it's not easy. But obviously religion is incredibly powerful, and it is kind of central to everything. So I would look at religion as probably the most important thing to fix first when I was king. So obviously the United States had this principle that, you know, freedom of religion was part of the initial documentation that built this country. But again, America has failed, and it was always a myth. It was always a good idea that wasn't quite as practical on paper as it was in theory. And so, yes, of course, America had good things that we should keep. And I even think religious freedom is good within a certain set of boundaries. And the reason I say that is because we now live today firsthand witnesses to what religions become. Not only is it scientism and political ideology being injected as though it was factual, it's an outright rejection of righteousness under the guise that that is true freedom. The Luciferian freedom principle has destroyed the integrity of humanity in this country. And that's freedom of religion brought to you by that religious freedom of Lucifer. And again, this is not even limited to like how bad the fifth column of fake Christianity is and how much they've destroyed civilization. But ultimately, it's that freedom of religion that has brought about any kind of degenerate worldview. And I can't let pseudoscience go, because the scientific method is the method that says data is based on majority repeatable experimentation. So when we look at stuff like the scientific community having consensus over what's true, the government demands you believe in climate change. That's the actual truth, is their religion of climate change. That's like a passage in their religious book. Climate change is real. Well, the problem with that is the same people that want you to believe in their science-based religion will on one hand tell you the myth about climate change and demand that you believe it, because they'll present you all this data and see all of the data points to climate change. Sorry, I'm still coming off of being sick. But anyway, all the data points to climate change. Well, you know what? That same scientific method says all the data points to the US government being occupied by Israel. All of that data points to a certain 13% of wizards casting 80% of spells. All of that data, all of that science of which you, the pseudoscientists, ascribe yourselves to, refutes the very point that a man can put on a dress and be a woman. Your religion says it, not mine. My religion is the one that says we should meet people where they're at, that we should see people as valuable because they're children of God, that we should understand that people are going through struggles and conflicts. Every kid should have shoes on their feet. Every kid should have something to eat. That's my religion. Your science says that we're all bugs on a ball flying through space and we don't mean anything. When we die, we just turn to dirt again. That's your religion, and you can't even stick with it. You don't even have the courage to be a zealot about your own science-based faith. Your own science would tell you biology means men can't be women, that unborn babies are live cell cultures with unique DNA that's going to decide their hair and eyes and skin tone. That's already your own science. If I ignored science, I could just be an Amish person and the world would be a better place. And then the scientists don't even believe their own science because it's all about politics and control for them. So they're illegitimate. So as king, my first order of business would be to turn all of religion into a single bandwidth. You're only allowed to believe in Christianity. Otherwise, be quiet. That's the first decree. The separation of church and state is over. The church is now the state. And if you want to believe in anything, it better be Christian. That's it. Y'all had your chance. You couldn't prove the validity of your science religion because you wouldn't even adhere to it. Boom, you're done. And then when we look at the rest of the situation, the corruption of Christian religion, we're only getting to the foundation of what needs to be done with religion. First things first, is like I said, separation of church and state is over. And the reason I say that is because the church and state separation was not done to keep the government out of or to keep the church out of the government. It was done to keep the government out of church. Like when they made up that pandemic and started shutting down Sunday service because of an imaginary bug. I don't need to be told by them when we're gathering with God. They need to ask God when they're getting paid. They need to ask God if they get the chance to live another day. You are subservient to the kingdom which is above your country. This country is not going to make the kingdom subservient to it. And so ultimately, the first thing I would target is religion. Too many bad ideas being allowed to propagate. And before you go, well, that's a violation of the Constitution. What Constitution is that? The one that they defended the Second Amendment of? The one they defended the First Amendment of? As far as I'm concerned, this current government has torn the Constitution to pieces and used it as an asswipe. So don't bring it up to me. If I include a shred of the Constitution, it's because I saw it fit that it was well enough worded to make it into the new government. So bye. That's my first thing. I'm not going to have a heathen, an atheist, or an American patriot tell me about the Constitution that they don't have. You don't have it. Your government doesn't respect it. Nobody goes to jail over it. It's not real. Your religion is not more powerful than the truth, the way, the truth, and the life, and that is Christ Jesus. And I don't see anywhere in the Bible where it says, allow heathens to run your world. Maybe I'm mistaken. But I even know what passages people point to that tell you to follow the government of the land. And people are taking it out of context. They don't realize the government of the land they're talking about is the ecclesia of Christ. They're talking about the kings and priests put over them by God, not the Roman government. Anyway, that's a big one there. I could probably do a whole episode on religion. Maybe one day we will. But if I was king, the first thing I would do is get the crazy religious wildness out of this land. The first things first, all satanic faith, any kind of Luciferian, Satanism, any kind of dark Wicca, paganism, any kind of stuff that is worshiping of other gods, violating God's law, it's absolutely no, you are not allowed to do it, and if you're caught doing it, you're going to be punished. We'll just leave it at that. Then, if you want to have a faith, we'll look at a generic, overarching set of beliefs that all churches in the country will adhere to, a standard they will meet. And you know what? They already do. It's called 501c3. We will have our own, and it will be much better and more righteous. It's not going to be about churches being allowed to keep a tax-exempt status as long as they adhere to this Luciferian manipulated gospel. Those days are done. You will adhere to the righteous gospel of Christ. Amen. All right, so let's move on to the next subject because I am moving through the time pretty quick tonight. We also have the subject of family, and I think family is just absolutely huge for this because we're talking about where people come from. It's not just how you're raised, but it's what you live your life for, right? Most people, they go to work to pay their bills for their kids and for their wife, for their husbands or wife, for their spouse, for their family. Maybe they got old parents that live with them and they take care of their old parents. Everybody goes to work for the people they love. They take care of the people they love through their efforts and through their time. That's the importance of family. It's the greatest motivating force, and it's always the foundation for how we how we find out who we are. I wasn't cursing. It sounded like I said the F word. What I meant was that our families give us the foundation we have for our lives, and so it's very important. And of course, as you guys know, in the current state of the world we're living in, the family has come under direct attack. We've been taught to embrace a culture of divorce and a culture of foster care and multi-parent like split parent households and all this. And it's ultimately destructive. We have lost the integrity of what it means to have marriage. Marriage has been turned into some sort of a document that people sign with the government's approval. And so they're used to the government approving it and signing off on it. So moving forward into my kingdom, we would obviously have a marriage certificate. We would have a government oversight on the marriage. In fact, I think that's really important, and it's something that the current culture already adheres to. But what we need is accountability for this stuff. We need actual true equality. We need divorce only under petition of severe actual cause. So many people just get divorced because they don't like each other anymore. So many people think they can mistreat their spouse and that they just have to stay with them. And the reality of it is that there's no one-size-fits-all formula. But what we do need is accountability for individuals who abuse their spouse, who abuse their kids, who destroy and melt down their family out of their own decision. That can't be tolerated anymore. We don't want a culture that rewards people for bailing on their spouse and kids. We want a culture that not only rewards people for doing the right thing and honoring their promises before God to their wife and to their husbands, to their family, to their kids, but we want a system that also negatively impacts you for trying to destroy it, for trying to melt it down. And if you have any experience looking into the stories of the general, unfortunately in this case, it's swung in kind of just as an anti-men thing at this time. There's a whole bunch to unpack about that, but ultimately, 9 out of 10 of these situations where people get divorced, it generally ends up with a man having less time to see his kids, having to pay more money in child support, and in various cases, getting the short end of the stick, almost always. And I'm not going to argue with anyone about it. It's just data. But the fact of the matter is it's not right. I'm not saying that it's not right because men are disproportionately affected in divorce. I'm just saying it's not right because we shouldn't be having divorce. We should be having upright society. We need a culture that won't get married unless they're willing to really mean it. Let's take this disheveled institution of marriage and let's rebuild its integrity and say, look, if you want to have a boyfriend or a girlfriend, I can't tell you what to do. If you guys want to share the bills and live in a house, it's not my business. I'm not here to be like, you can't live together out of wedlock like we're Mormons. This is not the kingdom of Mormon. You're going to have choices. You're going to have freedom. That's what it means to be a human being, to have sovereignty. You will decide for yourself, but we're not going to honor you with the documentation and the last name changing and the driver's license saying so and all the tax benefits, etc., etc., etc. That stuff is reserved for people who mean it, and when your marriage ends, your benefits end. It's just that simple. We will incentivize honorable marriage, we will incentivize intact families, and we will de-incentivize single parenthood. We will de-incentivize running out on your spouse over nothing, over illegitimate reasons, because people owe each other more, right? If you decided through sickness and in health, for better or for worse, then you got to mean it. Otherwise, don't do it. It's like with anything else. I made it this far and I'm not married. Maybe for better or for worse, who knows? In that case, there's probably not a better way to look at it. But if I wanted to get married, I would have to take it seriously. And I would think that should be the case for all of us. These institutions have been intentionally destroyed. The nuclear family is gone. And because of that, we don't have the support systems that used to exist that gave kids a fighting chance in the world, that gave families an opportunity to have a better life. Those things have been taken away from us. I always look back at the policies of the little mustache man in World War II. And one of the things that the German government did for their people prior to World War II was to create a deal where if a woman and a man got married, the government would put them in a house that the government paid to build. So the government's paying private contractors to build houses. And then they would put you in the house and say, this house is worth X amount of money. The government has already built it and paid for it. We're loaning you the house at whatever its value is. And every child that you have will take 25% away from the value of the house that you owe to the government. So if you just get married and have 4 kids, the house is yours. And that's because instead of taking that 100,000, or in a proper economy, a house is probably like 25 or 50K. That amount of money to the government would have just gone to bombs in Israel. It would have just gone to Ukraine so that a warlord in Africa's got a container full of Rolls Royces when there could have been 6 families moved into houses. You see what I mean? The family has been destroyed in favor of bombs and warlords and all kinds of crap. No, we take that money that they're stealing and we invest in our people, back in our families again, so we can get a foundation for our kids, so that we can have stability for our life at home, so we can have teamwork as an integral part of who we are. God said, it's not right that you should be all alone. And so he made a spouse for Adam. And so we were designed ultimately to be partners. And for some people, that's not the perfect answer. One size fits all is not the solution I'm offering for this new kingdom. But what I will say is that we need to rebuild the integrity of the family, honor the sanctity of marriage, enforce the sanctity of marriage, and create opportunities that make being a family valuable again, that make being a family rewarding again. Give prosperity back to the people who choose the righteous path of living. And for those people who want to detract and to act bad, make that a high and difficult road for them to travel. So that way it's not so easy to just throw away what God made that's so beautiful. Amen. Family. Education, that's a big one. You know, education is so huge. And the reason why education is so huge is because this is the foundation of what we think. We grow up in this country being taught, especially in this country, all of these ridiculous ideas about who we are and where we came from. This is something I've talked about endlessly. And as we know, the education is the foundation of how we view everything else in the world. If they taught you to think that every time you saw a red car, a bad person drove it, you'd be looking around and being like, man, there's bad people everywhere, all these red car owners and how evil they are. And that's the kind of thing that being taught at a young age can affect your entire future. And so we have this not only young age programming, and we use the word programming on purpose because it's part of they're setting you up for a certain system of thoughts and a certain reactionary worldview that works in coordination with the program that you've been taught. And again, it's not just about what you're taught at a young, pliable age, but you grow up into adulthood and you enter university. And immediately, you're even further indoctrinated with pervasive and weird adult ideas that are born in degeneracy, debauchery, Jewish, Marxist communism. And all of these ideas are bad for you. Liberal ideas and weird diversity ideas and weird pseudo-equality, all from the people who don't even adhere to their own scientific worldview they claim to have. So they're hypocrites and they're crazy, and that is the controlling aspect of this institution of education. Delusions about yourself, delusions about your past, delusions about your purpose, delusions about the realm, and then beyond that, delusions about your body, delusions about your gender, delusions about your children, delusions about your parents, delusions about your future. And all of that consolidates down, it combines and creates a sickness in the culture that is rotting America from within. Thousands upon thousands, millions of people who have not the slightest idea how reality really works, and yet they pride themselves on being educated. And they're out here telling you what to do. And it's the same kind of problem as the other institutions, ruled over with a lack of accountability. If you're the head preacher of whatever institution, the head teacher, the head professor, why are you teaching things that are not scientific? If you're the big science-based, fact-based guy, why are you not held to the standard that the things you teach are scientific and factual? I don't expect you to university indoctrinate everybody into the faith. There can be a class at a university, Kingdom Theology 101. Okay, that's not a big deal. But when I go in there to learn about statistics, data analysis, and you skew the results because I can bring up statistics that go against your liberal worldview, that are real. And you, the college professor, have to quantify that. And instead of quantifying that your worldview is wrong because data and statistics are what you teach and that's what you believe in, and you're adherent to facts and data, the facts and data presented make your liberal worldview wrong, and so you have to acquiesce. But they don't because there's no accountability. So either you need to acquiesce that you're wrong because the data refutes your crazy ideas, or you need to be removed from the institution by, I don't know, a secret police force or something. Some sort of accountability that can't get away from it. You know, some sort of I make a lot of money as a tenured professor. You sure do. Thank you for educating our children. Our kids are the future. But you better be right, son, because you're taking on a lot of responsibility. If that's too much for you, it's okay. You don't need to be the professor. You could pull the handle on the McFlurry machine. Very low expectations for you there. Don't worry, the secret police are not going to check to make sure that you're pulling the right amount of ice cream into the McFlurry machine. At least not until we've dealt with all the real criminals. Maybe one day there'll be a McFlurry patrol. We're expecting the best of all of our people. Education. I would tear down this institution from the ground up, every one of them. All of the universities need to be completely seized and repatriated. The administration needs to be punished. The individuals who have made money, like you guys know it, the education system created a web of lies and deceit where the government participated with the private universities to create debt pits that no one could escape, making degrees that were far too expensive. The government gives you the loan and you never escape payment because the minimum payment's not enough to escape the interest, the rising interest and the principal that just keeps getting bigger. You can never escape. It was a well-made trap by a bunch of bad people, and the reality is it needs to be torn down and started all over again. Education is as valuable as family. It is the foundation of our entire civilization, and so I say, as liberal as it sounds, why can't we have free college? You don't think we can afford college with the amount of money we send to Israel? Like, even if you told me college was free today, I'm not going. I don't need to. Unless maybe I needed to go get a trade thing. I want to learn how to weld. Maybe I'll go get a welding class and learn how to weld. Okay, that's nice. It's the opportunity there presented to me. What a lovely civilization. But I don't need it. The people who want to go to college, who need to go to college, should be able to, and we should be able to afford it. Ridiculous. The amount of kids we kill with bombs in Israel and stuff, we could easily afford to get kids through college. College should be affordable. The exorbitant price is the coordination of the criminals in private industry working with the government. It is insane to think it costs that much money. And if it does, your administration's overpaid, your campus is too big, there's too many bushes and too many signs and too much crap. It's a money pit, and it's time to put an end to it. So we would rebuild with a new educational standard. You will adhere to the science of your study. You will adhere to the integrity of your field. And if you try to make it political and you try to make it degenerative, you will be gone. You will not work in the education industry anymore. And we don't have to worry that much about it. We already have a Department of Education, and everyone working there would actually do their job instead of just collecting a check, because they'd be looking over their shoulder every day. They'd be seeing glitches happen to their computer and think, oh crap, the secret police are watching my computer through remote desktop. That's right. Like all this Palantir stuff, get ready. We're turning it on ourselves. And we're going to do a good deed with it. We're going to make sure that you actually teach kids instead of trying to indoctrinate them into being trannies. Moving forward, business. Another massive and integral component to civilization is business. So if I was king, I would have to address the fact that the U.S. economy, the world economy, is completely toast because of the bad practices of business going on in our world today. And don't for a moment think that the corporations and the government are not equally involved in orchestrating the downfall of civilization through this insane inflation strategy. Now, of course, we saw in 2020 the largest transfer of wealth in human history, where the middle class was effectively completely deleted, and even the poverty class was pillaged beyond all belief. And all of that money flowed directly upwards into the already super rich people. We're talking about people who already had net worths of hundreds of millions. Now their net worth is $1 billion. People like Zuckerberg. One sec here. So it's a really bad deal, right? I mean, we have this whole situation where, like, the best example you could point to is private institutions like Pfizer, the vaccine producer, the pharmaceutical industry giant, which was working in direct coordination with the U.S. government, receiving hundreds of millions of dollars, I think even billions of dollars of your hours, of your time, was given to those companies that they didn't help the American people. They made a lot of people sick, and they have a history of making people sick, which is not debatable. The data is available, Mr. Statist. Is that the right word? Whatever. The people who believe in data and science and propagate that's their worldview because they're not religious, they don't believe in spaghetti monsters. Okay, you're scientific. The data says that they've destroyed the economy. They've pillaged us of all of our wealth. The artificial inflation of real estate is all a product of the same ends. Massive corporations working with corrupt conjunction with the sitting government people and all of their efforts collectively combining to destroy the opportunity of the average person. I always look back on this story. It's the origin of Subway. And Subway is, it's a far cry from what it used to be. I mean, even we remember the years of the $5 footlong, and that was profitable then, but now it's like the $15 footlong, and everything's 3 times as much money as it was 10 years ago. We all know it. The hyperinflation is not an accident. They're literally picking us dry right now. They're bleeding us dry and picking us apart. Maybe that's the better way to put it. But the fact of the matter is, we're being pillaged, and it's not an accident. And so how do you address this? Well, there's some major issues, right? There's like a million times in history where we could have done it better. They used to have that rule of 40, I think it was, where the CEO or the highest paid employee can't make more than 40 times the lowest paid employee. And I think that's fair. I almost think it should probably be lower. It should probably be like 20. Like, are you really worth 20 times more another man's life? No, you're not. You know what I mean? Like, that 20 men should die so that you might live? No! 20 times? Who are you? You're not that important. I don't think there's anybody that important. Really? That 20 random guys should die so that you should live. 20 people's salary to equal yours. That's ridiculous. I don't think greed should be rewarded. We shouldn't have a system that rewards greed. Business is supposed to be big, right? Subway. When Subway started, they had a small amount of money. It was like $2,500 in the 1950s, which today is probably like 25 grand. Maybe more. Maybe it's 50. Even if it was like 200 grand, it doesn't matter. You can't start a Subway with 200 grand. You need something like $2 million to franchise a Subway. And that's if they approve you and if you have a town that doesn't already have one, that's not failing, that they believe you'll prosper in, so they'll let you build a Subway there. Okay, it's not easy. But when they opened the first Subway, they made back their entire initial investment on the first day of opening it. So imagine you or your friends or your dad or whoever, you and someone you guys want to start a business? Let's get together. We take a loan from the bank for 25 grand, okay? And we open up a Subway shop, a sandwich shop tomorrow. And tomorrow on day 1 of opening, we made $25,000 on the first day. So we're gravy, man. Every day of the week, I'm doubling my business. How is that even possible? In the world we live in now, it seems, that's simply impossible in today's economy. Yeah, there's no way you could sell $2 million worth of sandwiches in one business day. That's a fact. If it costs $2 million now to open a Subway franchise, you ain't making $2 million in sandwiches all year. And so, especially not with that failing brand. I don't think the Jared Fogle spokesman thing was probably very good for the company. But on top of that, I remember $5 footlongs, not $15 8-inch sandwich that's smashed flat by somebody who doesn't want to work there. It's not happening, man. The quality's degenerating. The expectation of businesses. Fast. It really sounds like I'm saying bad words. I need to get better at stuttering. Taco Bell. Taco Bell had burritos for $5 just a few weeks ago. The regular bean burrito was like $4.89. It was like, what? I remember when those were 89 cents. And it was going like that for weeks, and then all of a sudden we went there the other day and it was like 2 something. Which means that they had no problem spending 6 months totally robbing you, and now they're back down to $2, which I'm sure there's still an enormous percentage of profit. It's greed, and it's unacceptable, and it's universal. Every single corporation survives and thrives by utterly pillaging the customer base while delivering subpar goods at a horrible, exorbitant price by employees who are underpaid and hate their job. It's catastrophically cooked. So what's the solution to all of it? It means regulation. And people don't like the term regulation because they think that means now I can't get away with crime. People who don't like regulation are people who don't trust regulators. Fair enough. Our government's pretty corrupt. But really, people who don't like regulation are people who think they can do better. They're people who think they know better. That, well, I'll handle it myself, and I'll make the decision. No, deregulation authorizes criminality. And it is why you see, ever since the first Trump administration, trains derailing and helicopters crashing into airplanes and airplanes falling out of the sky and exploding. And it's because the deregulation has lowered the standard of quality. Because you used to have 2 hours of maintenance for every hour of flight time. You used to have a certain number of rail maintenance for how many miles of track, for how many trains on any given day. And what they did is, it's just like I had an episode a long time ago. You used to be able to buy Coleman camp fuel, and it had a regulation for the purity of the gas. And now the gas is 30% fart smell. And when you try to light it, it doesn't burn hot and it doesn't burn clean, because they're trying to cut the cost of gas by filling half the thing with sulfuric farts. I don't pay for 30% farts. Deregulation. And so the solution to the problem with business in America is to create regulation that puts caps on profit for any industry that's vital to the infrastructure of society. So whether it's hospital, the medical field, infrastructure like building roads and schools, and whether it has something to do with, effectively what you would say is, it's simpler to say the only industries that allow you to make an extreme profit are absolutely luxury, completely unnecessary. If you want to have fancy watches and weird hypercars and crazy mansions, those are good and fine, but those are where a rich guy needs to waste his money on that. And those are where, if you want to make a lot of money, you can go make a lot of money making crazy, ridiculous art pieces and wild things and charge whatever you like for it. But when it comes to like the people, right? We're talking about when in Germany before the Great War, they started Volkswagen because they wanted there to be a brand of affordable, reliable, well-built, high-standard vehicles for normal people to get to work. They were trying to fix the world over there. Their economy was crap. Their system was crap. The businesses in their country had been operating under Weimar degeneracy, and they had been pillaging the people of Germany. And so the solution was to create an affordable automobile company. The government was invested in it, and it was to give opportunity to people like you and me to go on and do what we needed to do. You want to start like a company that goes door to door offering a service, you clean carpets, you pressure wash driveways. Those Volkswagen vans were affordable. You could put your tools in the back of the van and go drive around Germany, drive around Hamburg, spraying pressure washing or whatever. You know what I mean? I mean, obviously, technological development, I don't know what pressure washers there were in the 40s. But what I'm getting at is, we could easily emulate that, right? We're talking about, if I was king, first things first is we'd have a lot of punishment for corporate evil. The secret police would be very busy the first couple of years rounding up villains. But then we're going to talk about regulation. McDonald's, that's food. You're only allowed to make a very small profit. And if you're a righteous man, you'll be the guy who makes good burgers and holds the line. Is McDonald's a brand worth lasting the test of time? We'll find out, because they'll produce quality food consistently at a fair price, not an exorbitant price. Exorbitant, an exorbitant price, a fair price. So that's my solution to business. These are all kind of a nutshell, but I'm just explaining kind of in general that it can be fixed, and there are practical ways to handle this. You put caps on profit margins for anything vital. There should be no one making money off of treating illnesses. There should be nobody making money off of the basic vehicles, off of the basic housing, off of the basic stuff. And don't worry, it's not like it's unsustainable, right? Whenever there's something that's free, it's paid for by taxpayer dollars, and because it's unregulated, you get the DMV, where it's like a disorganized hellscape, and everyone working there just gets paid no matter what. There's no accountability, again, and so it's a hellhole. I'm talking about real regulation, expectation, kingdom quality, to where, yeah, the cheap car is cheap, but you know what it has? 100,000-mile warranty, 30 miles a gallon. It gets you where you're going. So yeah, it's like, you want to build affordable cars for the American market? You can. But you're not going to get rich doing it unless you sell a lot of good cars. Let the merit of the quality of your work be the thing that makes you successful. If you're truly producing good cars, you'll sell so many that small margin of profit will totally benefit you, and you'll be fine. We're not expecting it to be impossible. We have math and science. The calculator was invented forever ago. We've even got abacus. Okay? We can literally determine mathematically what is fair. It's not, we're not children. I have to make this point. The government and the authorities of the world at this time continually treat all of us like kids, and many people are well over 30 now. Like, how long until we're the adult where we're being given the opportunity to say, no, we can do that math. Does McDonald's need to make 800% on a cheeseburger? No way. And because they are, it allows for all kinds of rich corporate evil guy who cannot be held to account because he has too much money to grease everybody. He's got everybody caught up at Epstein. And it's all ridiculous. No one man should wield that kind of power. No single entity, no corporation should wield that kind of power. And we should have a culture that's smart enough to starve people out. But what we should have even more is accountability that disallows that kind of villainy in the first place. You're not going to make 800% on a cheeseburger because cheeseburgers aren't making 800% profit in this economy. Cheeseburgers are feeding hungry kids, hungry families. And you'll be blessed and lucky if you get to have a cheeseburger brand with your name on it in the new kingdom. But as far as McDonald's and everybody else goes, I have a hard time imagining they're going to be able to survive the new pinching regulation. Think about all their high-paid CEOs they can't afford anymore. Think about all their ridiculous business parks and unnecessary vacation things and all this stupid stuff they offer all their immediate friends and immediate insiders on the corporate world, while normal people can't even afford to pay rent while working there full-time. You guys are so cooked. McDonald's, you are done. And the same with anything else. Pharmacy. If you're a medical supplies company, if you manufacture drugs and you hurt people, you are cooked. You better stand by your product. You better believe in what you're producing. Otherwise, get out of the industry. There's always other ways to make money. Make sub sandwiches. Produce some nice, affordable cars. You don't need to produce drugs. You don't need to be a local politician. You don't need to do that. And so if you want to help people, you want to enter the medical field, good. You'll be able to afford a quality life. You deserve a fair salary, especially in an economy that's reset. You want to work in the medical field, fine, but there isn't going to be any of these massive multi-billion-dollar hospital networks that profit off of the treatment and never curing of people's ailments. Let's see whose hospital brand remains when it's the only one that succeeds. Oh, you know, Kaiser, once they started offering real cures, everybody just started going to Kaiser now. The only private hospital network is Kaiser because it's affordable and people actually get better when they go there. Right? It's so common sense, it's not even funny. And it would be impossible. He said, well, you can't do that. How would you regulate? I have a secret police force, dude. I already told you. If anyone in any office fails to do their job expectation, they're either fired or worse. Not a big deal. So, I'm sorry, it's just me doing it. Okay, so business. The way that I would solve business in a nutshell is through regulation. In the same way, a system of reward for people who do right, especially in places where we need people to do right? If you want to make a lot of money, learn to be a fine jeweler. Learn to manufacture supercars or flying cars or beautiful fascia for new buildings. Something that costs money that we don't need. Make all the profit you want. But you're not profiting off of food or medicine. Holy crap, people are sick. Anyway, media. Media is a good one, right? Because media is really the way that all of this is translated. Whatever's happening in the world, whatever we think about what's happening in the world, media is the medium. It's the voice between reality and perception. Media. And media is like a spirit. And we're not trying to have a spirit that's corrupt. If there has to be something between you and the day's events, you and the latest announcement, the event and your perception, if something has to be between those two, then it needs to be super clean, right? Like if I have to look through the window to be able to see what's going on outside, that window better be clean. And when there's corruption and streaks and cracks and peeling tint and vinyl, I can't see clearly. And if it was simply a vacuum, the media just makes mistakes sometimes. It can't get it right. People are not perfect. They make mistakes, right? Okay, I'm all for they made an error in reporting. They put a typo in the title. The person had an opinion that didn't jive with reality. Those things are not a problem for me. I'm not expecting media to be like it's Kim Jong-un, don't say something bad or don't say something wrong or you'll be killed. That's not what it is. And the enemies of the world will use media to try to propagate ideas like that. That's the dishonest power of media, to try to misrepresent things and to manipulate your perspective in order to manipulate you ultimately. By putting a yellow film filter over the window, you think it's sunny outside when it's not. And that is disgusting. The fact that we have news media companies in this country, in this day, this rotting hellscape of a dream and an American experiment, the media today is solely, wholly complicit in some of the most horrific disinformation ever, especially 2020. If there was ever a time in history to say, we don't hate the news enough, it would be the last 5-6 years. From everything that happened with COVID, everything that's happened with all of these events, with Ukraine and with Israel and with Trump and with all of this stuff, is just a testament to how rotten the citizen journalism, the free press truly is. And this ties back into what I said earlier about the Luciferian freedom principle. The media is not going to be free anymore. And just because people thought, well, the freedom of speech, there is no free speech. There's people in jail for saying things online. In this country, there's people in line for, there is no free speech. And even liberals are smart. They say, there's freedom of speech, but not freedom from consequence. Yeah, you're damn right. So when the media has a broadcast license given to them by someone whose job is on the line right now, it's like this. Media does something they're not supposed to do. Why isn't their broadcast license pulled? Because they're friends with the guy who can pull it. The guy who can pull it is being paid. The guy who can pull it doesn't fear the secret police. And so there's no accountability. And that's the difference. In the new kingdom, if I was king, there'd be an accountability level so that the person who authorizes the license for broadcasting, the person who hosts them at the station, the server room, maintaining all of their data, all of these people need to know their role in the misinterpretation of facts. If the media goes online and says something that's not true and you work in the server room, you better pull the cord. You better be the first one to pull the plug on the broadcast because we're coming for you too. You are accountable. If you don't want to be accountable because the media could lie and if you don't have time to pull the thing and it might befall you, then don't work as a media data server maintenance guy. Don't work as an FCC license administration associate. Go work at Walmart. I want people to recognize that leadership is an important and integral part of what society is made of, and that it's not a free ride. It's not a big paycheck. It's a burden. It's called the penalty of leadership. When a man goes and spends all his day at work to feed his kids, it's not what he wanted to do. It's what he has to do. Because we live our lives with duty to our cause, to our family, to our country, to our kingdom. We have a duty to do things, so we do them. We don't do everything we want just because we want to. And the media has no authority to lie intentionally to you. If we're really we the people, them lying to you is the same as propagandizing. And on behalf of who? Foreign interests? Israel, some other country? A corrupt politician in office? Why would the media go out of their way to deliberately lie about things we know are true unless they themselves are complicit? In which case, it shouldn't be difficult to manage them. As a network, they have a responsibility to make sure they're sharing the truth, or their license will be pulled and they will at least be fined heavily. And maybe never allowed to air again. But what's more than that is the individuals responsible from the bottom to the top of the chain need to know their ass. If you're going to be in the seat of authority, you're going to bear the burden of responsibility. So don't take it unless you're ready to do it. Don't work for the FCC. Because if you were the one who signed the license for NBC this year, and they just went off and lied about some war that's happening, and you oversaw that, and you didn't pull the license, we're coming for you too. You're guilty. In the same way that the judge who releases an 18 times prior offender who then goes out and hurts somebody else, that's on you, judge. You are guilty. You deliberately abdicated your responsibility to the people in favor of some political diversity agenda, and you will pay for it. Secret police are watching. In order for the media to be set straight, we need standards. Free speech is gone. Right speech. Say the right thing or say nothing at all in a professional capacity. Oh, citizen, say whatever you want. Scream the N-word. I don't care. But don't go on TV and present yourself as a truthful, fact-based organization. I mean, look at this. This is what they do. Reuters fact check. Well, you better be right. If somebody is able to prove in court that this is not true, whoever wrote it, whoever published it, whoever licensed it, and whoever maintained the website data, you're all paying for it. Don't think that your hand can be covered in blood and you don't know where it came from and that excuses you. This is no different than Nazi Germany. Yo, I was just following orders. Yo, that's not gonna work. Who set the standard? They did. So you're not just following orders. Do the right thing. Be a higher person on a higher standard with a higher purpose, or don't be. But you don't get to be both. You don't get to be a lowlife and at the top of the pyramid. It's not gonna happen. You're finished. Arts and entertainment. Now, this is a big one because arts and entertainment is so special and sacred, right? God is a creative God. He put inside people the heart and mind to be creative and to imagine things. And so there's so much value in that. And I'm not trying to restrict arts and entertainment in the way that you would restrict media or business or anything, education. I think arts and entertainment should be free, but we should have a culture that learns through the prior facets, right? Through religion, through our faith, through our family, and the way we were raised, through the education system and the things we're taught, through our experience in business and trade and economy, and even what we see through media and reporting. We should all be a kind of people who are trained to understand where the line is appropriately for art, right? Like if I was a little kid in class and I am wasting class time drawing pictures, it doesn't matter what I'm drawing, that's not appropriate. Now, let's say I'm being given free time. I'm at lunch or whatever. I can draw whatever I want. Now, there's also a category of what's appropriate to draw at school, okay? And then, okay, so maybe we're not at school. Maybe you're at home. There's also a maybe broader category about what you can draw at home. But the idea is that it's not as simple as saying, you can't draw pictures of Mohammed. You can't draw pictures of it. That can't happen. You can't do that. You cannot mitigate semantics like that. So what you have to do is you have to teach people to have integrity. You don't draw wieners at school. And again, this is why you can't punish people over it in the same way. You can't have accountability and secret police, like making sure people don't draw wieners at school, because it doesn't hurt anybody. It's just inappropriate. You know, and maybe there is such a thing as an extreme art, like where you've gone too far. And of course, that's more of that thing where it's case by case. Like, is it okay to draw wieners at school? No. Is it okay to draw wieners at home? I guess. I don't know what you're doing with that, but again, as long as you're not drawing wieners and like putting it on the bus window or something, like think about it. It's not about what you do, it's about what it does, the fruit, right? So let's just consider it like that. Arts and entertainment need to exist within a realm of what's appropriate. Is this a movie being published in a movie theater where someone can pay money and go in and sit there? Can they fire it up on a streaming service? Well, that's very different than a movie that like you might just, produce with your friends. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, you're going to shoot an action movie and it's got like whatever type of content or whatever. The point is that you had rating systems that used to apply where it was like, okay, well, this is rated R, but then like they just let 10-year-olds in there. You know what I'm saying? It's that kind of thing. It doesn't need a hard line to fix arts and entertainment. What you need is a culture that is otherwise healthy. And then artwork that's pervasive or inappropriate just won't see the light of day because people don't want it. It's not even that hard to fix that one. Just don't let perverts run Hollywood anymore. Should be simple enough. Get Barack Obama off of Netflix and we won't have cuties. Mission accomplished. Okay. Now we're going to talk about the last, and I think it culminates, right? Because you start with religion, which is the foundation, and then you get to the top of the pyramid. You get to the top and you're like, what is this? Military, politics, government. And I brushed the subject multiple times, but the United States government is wholly corrupt. It's like completely corrupt. Like, and when I say that, I don't mean like everyone in there is involved in a conspiracy. No, it's like there's no one in office in America that is organically placed there. I could say it with an absolute fact. Even I live in like a small county and we see them manipulating the results of the election and stuff. It's all BS. And so that in and of itself disqualifies everyone in office. And I need people to come to that realization because I still see sycophants like, oh, we're almost there. Well, Trump's really getting them. And it's like, are you not watching that? Like, okay, so Trump's like saving us. He's going to take control of the oil or whatever. And then it's like, yeah, but do you not hear they just approved to allow the immigrants, the refugees from Venezuela who they had a communist like left-wing leader that just got deposed and now they feel unsafe because it's now like going to be a Republican Trump-run Venezuela. So all those people are refugees and they're going to come to America. Let's import a bunch of foreigners who are communists. Yeah, Trump's winning the day. I can't have people being like that anymore. That is the result of the corruption of the office, because everyone in will just uniformly do the agenda of the collective organized evil. Like whoever this Reuters author is, it doesn't even say, it's just Reuters fact check. See how cowardly they are? They don't even put the guy, Carl Berg or whatever his name is that wrote this. They don't even like put it on there because they know that they can't stand behind what they're saying. When they say stuff like, well, I don't think that's accurate because evil would have to be like in command, or the rank and file would have to be strongly determined. And so I was like, no, evil is already rank and file strong and determined. It is prospering because people are doing nothing. It is an actually factually correct quote. And again, I think that's more of that same thing where it's like you have a responsibility to be honest in media, but this is an opinion piece. So why is the opinion piece being presented as a fact check? You see what I mean? No accountability, no adult in the room. One sec. My Sprite go. There we go. That is good stuff, man. There is only Sprite. Amen. Where are we at? Oh, the government. Yeah, that's a sore subject for me, man. If the entire government is built on the rest of the corruption of the system, it's the highest corruption there is. It is the oversight of corruption, right? Donald Trump, the big Republican guy, saving America. He pardoned Dr. Fauci. How can you be a Trump supporter and just ignore the fact that it was your right-wing political view that the vaccine was bad and poisonous, that the pharmaceutical company was bad, that Dr. Fauci was an evil Jewish rat? Like, if you thought that, then why are you okay with Trump pardoning him? What is wrong with you? The government in America is wholly corrupt, both sides. You have to be smart enough to know both sides are corrupt because it's just the same thing. There's not even two sides. It's just one thing, one amalgam of shit. And it's wholly rotten. And it's like I said in the beginning, it has to be addressed in such a way that everyone wakes up tomorrow in a new world. It's not like, okay, well, now I'm king today. My first order of business as king is to establish a new level of accountability for everybody, specifically in the government. And many people will resign because they know they can't handle the heat. They won't be able to handle it because they are dirty and they are guilty. And again, I'll probably specifically investigate the people that resign first. You know, I prioritize everyone that quits because they know they're dirty and they're trying to get out thinking that there won't be some kind of retroactive punishment. Like, my understanding as king, and this is something you all need to know, if I was king, right and wrong has never changed. There's never been a time where, well, back then, God's standards were different. No, God is the same. Jesus Christ is the same yesterday, today, and forever. The rules are the same. The laws are the same. The expectations are the same. And so when I talk about correcting the situation, I'm talking about it was never okay to pillage the government. I don't care if you were in office between 1969 and 1981. If you're still alive today, you're being punished. You did it too, my friend. They all did. And so I'm not like gonna, just because I'm king today, you were a criminal yesterday and I know about it, so I'm coming for you. The U.S. government in general, the world as a government, the collective UN and all this stuff is all rotten. It all needs to be completely stripped down to the base. And the only way to do that is to have a brand new system. And I, of course, am not the first to condone democracy or republic. I think I'm much more of a monarchist, but think about it like this, right? In many monarchies, they create what they call a parliament, which is a way that the leading class of society can get in touch with the general public. It's what the United States Congress does in theory, but not in practical application. The United States Congress is supposed to be here in our county, looking at our region and our state and our area, and then going as our representative, that's the term they use, to the central authority and to say, hey, back where I come from, we have an incredible shortage of rice, or we don't have enough money for the school buildings in our region. whatever it is. And the central government, the king, in this case, it would be me, I guess. If I was king, it'd be me. I would have a body of individuals who are elected to represent people. Because look, not everybody has the time to get off of their project or whatever they're doing and to go to the central capital and to plead the case to the king about why there isn't enough rice or there's not enough money for schools. Like, all of that stuff is a job. It is a job, and these people have taken advantage of the fact that it's a job and used it as a lever of power to gain insider deals and to enrich themselves at the expense of all of the people they claim to represent. The very people that they exist to serve are the ones they are taking advantage of to become rich and corrupt. And it's unacceptable, and there's no way to justify it. There's no excuse for it. And again, it's another one of those things that I would retroactively handle. If you were in office, you stole. You're getting it. Just keep that in mind. And these are the things I have no problem saying because it's a fact. If I get the lever, they will pay. Mark my words. It's kind of like that's my vote for me thing. It's like every bad guy is going to pay for their abortion rituals, even if they did it 30 years ago. I don't care. You did the crime. Ask God for forgiveness at the throne. You're guilty on this earth. Anyway, so, it's just a fact. Anyway, so I really think that when it comes to the government, what it really takes to sort things out is, of course, a new system of reward and accountability. And that means that we need to have fair, honest salaries, and we need to have transparency in office. We need to know where your money's coming from. Where do you have stocks and bonds? Who are you trading? When are you trading? What are you trading? And we need to know that stuff. And if you don't want to share that stuff, you are not qualified to serve in office. I've even proposed an idea that was that no one should serve in office except voluntarily through election. You don't get a salary. The people of your district can donate to your Patreon. How about that? If you really care about your county, then you will represent your county and your county will represent you by paying so you can represent them. You see how simple that is? Wow, a meritocracy. Imagine that, right? There's an election. And the election comes up with same-day voting, ID only, facial recognition voting. And you go in and you vote for only your representative because you don't vote for kings. Jesus Christ is king. It's not up to you. Once there's a king, they're the king. It's established. You don't vote for kings. It's not how monarchy works. But you can vote for parliament. We'll let you decide who your representatives are going to be in your area. And it's because it's who you like. And then y'all can subscribe to their Patreon and pay their salary. It should not pay money to be a representative. That should be like an old man's job. Someone who owns a business and has been successful and has retired and says, you know what, I would like to serve in a different way. I owned a plumbing company for 35 years serving in the Pacific Northwest. And, by the time at the height of its success, we had 75 trucks. And in this day, I've passed the business on to my son, and now I'm interested in doing a different kind of service, and I want to be a representative for this region that we've served for so many years. And everybody knows, and so you say, hey, after 35 years of serving, and y'all have been excellent customers and helped me build a fortune for my family and our legacy, and we still offer services in the area, I don't need you guys to fund me. I have money. You guys have already funded me. I want to work for you for free out of the kindness of my heart. Please elect me this summer or whenever we do elections. And that's how we'd handle it. It's that simple. And if any one of these people steals from you or does anything they're not supposed to do, they'll face the full wrath of my secret police because accountability is for everyone, not just those of us who are poor who have to go to jail when we don't pay the IRS. You'll notice how easy it is for them to go into a foreign country and snatch up a president. A dictator of a foreign country can be snatched up, but they can't snatch up the governor of your state who oversees illegal laws. In my state, in Washington State, they have infringement of the First Amendment and the Second Amendment. And then they have other things where we voted to make the cost to register your car a maximum price for affordability. Remember how Adolf tried to give people Volkswagen? We tried to vote for a single sliver of Volkswagen in our lives that we could pay $30 a year to drive our own freaking car. We tried to do that. It was voted in by the people, and the evil governor just said, no. Where's the president? Where's the DOJ? That guy's a traitor. He just does whatever he wants as a tyrant. And then they pass the buck to the next guy in the election, and he just holds the line. Tyranny 2. Next guy in, same exact agenda. They never change because they're all part of the same ploy because they're not being elected. It's artificial. They're figureheads. And the only way to end that is actual transparency and accountability. It means that when you want to vote for your local representative, you gotta be there, you gotta mean it. I wouldn't even care about making voting day a holiday. Everybody is off work on Thursday or Friday, and we all go down to vote. We vote that day with our ID. They know it's you. You only vote once. You do your best in that, and it could literally be transparent. Why not? You ashamed of who you voted for? Just have an archive, who you are and who you voted for. It's publicly available. That way there's no questioning whether there's enough ballots. Every ballot ties to a real person. It's that simple. These systems are corrupted on purpose, and that is because, as I said, it is a foundation, the religion, the belief that drives people in the world, that builds the basis of your society. And the top of the pyramid, the highest echelon, is your government. And when your foundation is corrupt, when it's built on ideologies of scientism, not even real science, it's not real observable science that something happened 250 million years ago. It's not real observable science that your car is destroying the environment while their plane does not. It is not real observable science that your country needs to be EPA restricted while China is not. It is not scientifically accurate to say that unborn children are not alive. It is not scientifically accurate to say that men can be women or women can be men. It is not scientifically accurate anything that they propagate, yet they claim to be the scientists. Enough is enough. The world deserves true, authentic leadership and accountability for everyone at all levels. If your top to bottom is corrupt, then it's time to clean house and start over. The only way that you can have a true foundation is a foundation of the rock that is Jesus Christ. That is why the kingdom is the only way to save America, because America's foundation is fallacy and good intentions and pseudoscience. The real foundation of the kingdom is the King of Kings, the Lord of Lords, Jesus Christ. So you need to start with the foundation that is the religion of your society needs to be truth, righteousness. And then as far as the family goes, you got to have an intact family unit. You got to have parents that are married, kids that are raised, kids that get to go to a school and learn valuable things through education. And you need to be able to have opportunities. You want to start a business, or you want to become an artist, or you want to tour the world, you should be able to do that, because there's more than enough resource and time for everybody to do what they wanted to do in the world. God gave us this place, and it's packed with oil and trees and rocks. Everything we could ever need to construct a perfect society is all available for us, and it's available cheap, not $5 a gallon. You know, it's like in my state, a pack of cigarettes is like $12. You know why? Because it's 400% tax. What? How is it fair that they get to take 400% of what you spend your money on at all? Who made them the arbiter of taking from you? And it's because the whole system is corrupt. Anyway, the point is, you deserve opportunity. You want to start a Subway sandwich shop? You can get a loan, you can save up some money, you can get an opportunity, you can start it, you can make real money, you can have buying power, but you just have to realize that some industries are not going to make you rich. Maybe you want to have a humble sub shop in a small town, feed your kids, pay your mortgage or whatever. I mean, mortgage is even kind of crazy. But just the point is, it could be corrected, and the proof is in the pudding, because it used to be that way. So don't go telling me it's impossible, you'll never be. It was that way less than 100 years ago. And the only difference is a bunch of bad actors holding all the offices, which would not be that difficult to get rid of if we actually had something like if I was king. You know what I mean? So that's basically the gist of it, right? Society is wholly corrupt, and it's not going to be fixed by trying to patch together this broken, rotten thing. The frame is rotten to the core. And so initially, people's reaction to all these problems is to say, well, what can we do about it? What are we going to do? Well, we have to look at this election for candidates that represent our... No. That's more rust on top of rust. If you're going to have a new government, you need to have a new election system first. You can't just go over there and run mail-in ballots and just let the bad guy tell you who won the election. This is a famous story. Back in the 60s, there was a sheriff who ran for election. He was a corrupt bastard. And there was a bunch of veterans in that town from Vietnam, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe they were World War II vets. It was pretty old. And people didn't believe him. They thought, this guy's rigging the election because he tried to lock the ballot box up at his personal jail at the sheriff's station or whatever. And they broke in there with rifles. And they found out he was lying. He cheated the election. He published results that were false. And if they'd have just accepted it, the corrupt sheriff would have been in office again. The corruption doesn't end because you keep playing their game. The system doesn't heal because you keep gouging at the wound. The only way to fix this culture is to approach it from something higher than it. America's rotten to the core. America needs something bigger than America to fix America. The only nation bigger and better than America is the kingdom of God. The kingdom of God is easily accessible to people who find Jesus. You can become a kingdom citizen today. You can take on the new life resolution and decide that you need to live for something bigger than yourself, that you need a purpose higher than you and a teacher better than you. And so you look for Jesus and you apply that to your life. But now you're one of us. Now that you've had that resolution and you know you live for higher things and for bigger things. Now, what is higher and bigger than you? The world that God gave us. And so it's our job as kingdom citizens, the only ones who really know the truth, to bring that solution to the world that needs it. We are the ambassadors of that higher, bigger thing. We are the ones who come in our own imperfect form and say, there's something better than this. There's a way to live that's better than this. There's a future for all of us, every race, every creed, every nation. Because it doesn't have to be about white people or black people or men or women or China or America or Russia or India. It doesn't have to be about any of that divisive nonsense, because who you are in Christ transcends all those things. And if we had the kingdom of God on earth, it's the one flag that we could all carry together. The one flag that says you deserve better than this. You deserve an opportunity. Shoes on every foot. Food in every belly. A roof over every head. Regardless of race or creed or religion or background or education or nation or language or family origin. None of that is a defining factor in what makes you part of the kingdom. Do you pledge allegiance to Jesus Christ, the King of Kings and Lord of Lords? Or do you pledge allegiance to this rotten shithole, the United States? That's up to you to decide. But I can tell you that if I was king, things would be very different. I would see things made very differently. Then I don't think it's that complicated. It doesn't take some guy in a Burger King hat to fix the world. It takes the body. It takes the kingdom. So take my word for it or not, but the fact of the matter is the world needs a solution, and we're building it right now. Whenever anybody sees a bad news story or a tragedy, and they say, why does this keep happening? Why do we keep letting this happen? When is somebody going to do something about this? It begins today. It begins right now. And the world deserves to have a representation that is no longer of the same corrupted crap that's got us this far. I don't want a fat, sweaty personal trainer. I don't want my own rotten self to be the motivator. I want something better. I want something higher, and we all deserve it. America. Am I supposed to pick up that tattered flag that bombed children for 100 years and say, it's okay, it's still good? No, it ain't. And that's the same thing about every shit-flinging hellhole on this whole earth. Everyone's country and national identity is garbage. And if you can't admit that, you're not moving forward. I don't want to be told by some foreigner that their hellhole is better than this one. And I don't want to be told by someone here that this hellhole is better than over there. It's all failing. It's all perishing. And you should be glad that it is, because the Bible makes it very clear that the old order of things will pass away. And you're watching it right now. You are living in the transition between the old order and the new world order. The new world resolution has come. And it's come in the form of God's immortal kingdom. And it comes in the hearts of his people. And it begins there. And then we paint the town red. Trust God. Take the risk. Do the work. The kingdom age is upon us, people. And I really mean it. I'm really excited to see it. If you think the Overton window shifting to wood-chippering pedophiles is interesting, just wait until it's time to declare the truth and impose it, right? Very exciting. Crusades 2.0. I mean, I don't know if that's what it's going to be, but we're getting somewhere, right? If I was king, we'd be head starting. it'd be a very different tomorrow, I can tell you that. But look, I'm not king. God didn't put me in charge. I'm sure there's tons of people like, well, thank God he's not in charge. I don't want to be king. I'm just saying if I was, I would fix all this problem, like all this trouble, you know? I would much rather just relax, you know? Don't forget to take out the trash. You know, I like to make my problems little, Like, what is that squealing noise my car's making? Not existential, like, oh, the world's full of murderers. You know what I mean? Like, nobody wants to do that. Who wants to deal with all these problems? You know? But it's true. The world needs the kingdom more than anything. The whole world needs the kingdom. And it's up to us to bring it here. Right now. Today. Today's problems are sufficient. Today's people, today's kingdom people are sufficient because God made us fearfully and wonderfully for the very purpose that we're here. We're here today to do it. Believe it. Let today be the first day. Let today be the day that you become a kingdom citizen and say, enough is enough. It's not just up to me to notice and to see that this is a problem, but it's up to me to work together with my peers, with these members of the kingdom, to associate, even if we don't know how to unify, to associate for the greater good. And that association is called the Christian Dominion Movement, made possible by Christian Dominion Ministries and soon to come Christian Dominion Media. All right, guys, that's about all I got for you tonight. You've been listening to Level 76 of the Main Character Podcast, made possible by the Cult of Con. That's you guys. I'm Con Man, and thank you for being here. This is a little bit more Kool-Aid infused than I intended, but whatever. Hey, if I was king, we'd at least have somebody trying, right? I think we should all start trying, all right? Thank you guys so much for being here. Tonight's episode was made possible by, of course, you guys, and powered by the Christian Dominion Movement. Because the truth should not only be declared, it should be imposed. All right? I love you guys. More solution material coming up soon. We're not just going to dwell in our problems. We're going to conquer them in the name of Jesus. Amen. Love you guys. I'll see you all next week. Actually, I'll see you on Sunday for that accountability Bible study. God bless you guys. Have a great rest of your week. Take it easy.
Now when the 1,000 years have expired, Satan will be released from his prison. He will go forth to deceive the nations which are in the four corners of the earth, Gog and Magog, to gather them together for the final battle, an army whose number is as the sand of the sea.
It's amazing the affirmations that come my way when I fake it until I make it. The truth is waiting, complacent organizations. They say I'm racist, they hate and they making payments on my vacation. I'm the man, I'm the king, I'm rejecting what you think. Rearranging your mentality, got some Kool-Aid you can drink. It's a scam, it's a plan, it's a con, and I'm your man. You know I tell it like it is, I hold the secrets in my hands. Reflection and introspection is my profession. I'm recklessly disrespecting what you expect and investing in my discretion.